Have you ever wondered why royal guards never smile, never flinch, and never speak? What secrets lie behind the iconic uniform? And what challenges do we face standing silently for hours? What you've seen is only the surface. Stay with me, and I'll reveal the untold truth about what it really means to be a royal guard. Before we dive into this fascinating journey, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating stories that uncover the hidden worlds behind the traditions you thought you knew. I stood at my post, dressed in the iconic scarlet tunic and towering bearskin hat, feeling the silent weight of history pressing down on me. The grand palace loomed behind me, its golden gates glinting in the sunlight. Tourists gathered in clusters, their cameras clicking as they whispered in awe. Some pointed, others posed for selfies. But no matter how much attention swirled around me, I remained still, calm, composed, and focused. This uniform, this role, was more than just ceremony. It was a symbol of duty, tradition, and an unbroken chain of service spanning centuries. For many, the Royal Guard is a curiosity. People see us standing stoically, unflinching, and seemingly unshakable, and wonder what's going on inside our minds. They marvel at the precision of our movements during ceremonies, the polish of our uniforms, and the way we seem almost otherworldly in our discipline. But the truth is, behind the uniform is a story. Behind the posture is a person. And today, I'm here to tell you mine. This uniform isn't just about looking good in front of a camera or standing tall while others admire. It represents a legacy, one that connects me to the countless men and women who have stood where I now stand. Each button, each stitch, and even the bearskin hat, yes, it's real, has a story tied to it. And every single part of my role, from my stance to my silence, has a purpose that most people don't understand. When I was younger, I'd watch the Royal Guards on TV or during trips to the city and think, they must have nerves of steel. Back then, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to stand in their shoes, or should I say, their highly polished boots. To the outside world, they looked like statues, like they didn't have a single thought or feeling. But now, having worn this uniform myself, I know the truth. We're not statues. We're protectors, ambassadors of tradition, and guardians of something much larger than ourselves. Standing at attention outside the palace gates, I often catch glimpses of people's curiosity. Children tug at their parents' hands, asking, why don't they move? Others wonder aloud, are they even real? And then there are those who try to test us, leaning in a little too close or making funny faces to see if they can break our focus. It's all harmless fun to them, but to me, it's a reminder of the discipline this role demands. You see, this isn't a performance. It's a duty. It's about honoring the past while protecting the present. And yes, we're trained to remain composed no matter what, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Imagine standing completely still for hours, with no room for error, knowing that every eye in the crowd is on you. It takes a level of concentration that few people ever experience. But with every moment I stand there, I'm reminded why I chose this path. When you look at a Royal Guard, what you're really seeing is the result of countless hours of training, preparation, and dedication. You're seeing the embodiment of a tradition that stretches back centuries. But what you don't see, what most people never get to know, is the journey it takes to get here. The struggles, the sacrifices, and the moments of doubt. Those are the parts of the story that matter just as much as the polished boots and sharp salutes. And that's what I want to share with you. Today, I'm going to take you behind the uniform, beyond the stoic stance, and into the world of the Royal Guard. I'll tell you everything you've ever wanted to know, how we train, what it's like to stand in these boots, and what this role truly means. Because the story of a Royal Guard isn't just about ceremony. It's about legacy, discipline, and the honor of standing for something greater than yourself. So, as you watch me stand here, unmoving and silent, know that there's more to the story. And I promise, by the end of this journey, you'll understand what it truly means to be a Royal Guard. As I stand here in my ceremonial uniform, I often reflect on the rich history that has shaped the role of the Royal Guard. Our origins date back to medieval times, when the safety of monarchs was paramount amidst the turbulence of feudal societies. Kings and queens required loyal protectors, and thus, the earliest forms of royal guards were established. In the late 12th century, King Richard I formed the sergeants-at-arms, a mounted force tasked with safeguarding the sovereign. These individuals were not just soldiers. They were trusted members of the royal household, embodying both martial prowess and unwavering loyalty. Over time, as the nature of warfare and political landscapes evolved, so did the composition and duties of these guards. One of the most notable early units was the Yeomen of the Guard, established by King Henry VII in 1485 after his victory at the Battle of Bosworth Field. This corps was formed to serve as the monarch's personal bodyguard, a role they continue to this day during ceremonial occasions. Their presence was a testament to the need for a dedicated force to ensure the monarch's safety, especially during times of political instability. Throughout history, royal guards have been more than mere ceremonial figures. They have actively participated in significant military engagements. For instance, during the War of the Spanish Succession in the early 18th century, regiments like the Coldstream Guards played crucial roles in battles such as the Siege of Gibraltar. Their involvement was not just symbolic. They were integral to the military strategies of the time. Embarking on the journey to become a royal guard is both an honor and a challenge. The path is rigorous, designed to select individuals who embody dedication, discipline, and resilience. Let me walk you through the process, sharing insights from my own experience. Becoming a royal guard is no ordinary journey. It's a path forged by discipline, perseverance, and a commitment to upholding centuries of tradition. When I first considered joining the ranks, I had no idea of the rigorous process ahead, but I knew one thing. This was a calling, not just a job. The honor of standing as a protector of the monarchy, wearing the iconic uniform, and representing something greater than myself was more than enough to push me forward. The first step was understanding the eligibility requirements. Not everyone can become a royal guard. Applicants must meet specific criteria, starting with nationality. You need to be a citizen of Britain or one of the Commonwealth nations. That's because the royal guards aren't just representatives of the United Kingdom. They symbolize the unity of nations tied by a shared history. The age limit was also clear. You had to be between 16 and 35 years old. And then came the most daunting requirement, physical fitness. I thought I was fit when I applied, but what I considered fitness was nowhere near what they demanded. The recruitment process tested every ounce of strength, endurance, and determination I had. It began with a detailed application that required me to state why I wanted to join, what motivated me, and what I understood about the role. I spent hours crafting my answers, making sure to convey not just my passion, but also my understanding of the responsibility I was about to take on. Once the application was accepted, I received an invitation to the assessment center. That day is etched in my memory. I remember walking into a room filled with people, all of them sizing each other up. It wasn't a competition, but you could feel the unspoken pressure in the air. We were taken through a series of medical exams to ensure we were in peak health. Every aspect of our fitness was measured, from our cardiovascular endurance to our strength. I'll never forget the multi-stage fitness test, where we had to run back and forth between two lines in increasing intervals. By the end, my lungs burned, and my legs felt like jelly, but I pushed through. The mental aptitude test came next. These weren't your standard IQ tests. They were designed to see how we handled stress, how quickly we could make decisions, and whether we could remain focused under pressure. The idea was clear. As a royal guard, you need more than physical strength. You need a sharp mind, one that can think critically in any situation. The interviews that followed were just as intense. Senior officers sat across from me, their eyes piercing, as they asked why I thought I was fit to wear the uniform. It wasn't just about giving the right answers. It was about showing conviction. When I finally passed the selection process, the real challenge began: training. This wasn't just any training. It was designed to mold us into soldiers who could embody both the ceremonial elegance and the operational readiness required of a royal guard. We reported to the Infantry Training Center in Catterick, where our days started before sunrise. Physical conditioning was relentless. We were made to run for miles, carry heavy loads, and push our bodies to limits we didn't know existed. The instructors weren't just testing our endurance. They were breaking us down to build us back up. Weapons training was another essential component. We learned to handle a range of firearms with precision, not just for ceremonial duties, but also for security operations. Every movement, from loading a rifle to firing a shot, had to be flawless. They drilled it into us that as Royal Guards, we were not just standing on parade. We were trained soldiers capable of responding to threats. And then there were the ceremonial drills. This was perhaps the most painstaking part of training. Marching in perfect unison, holding your posture for hours, and making every movement sharp and precise required intense focus. I'll never forget the first time we practiced in full dress uniform. The scarlet tunic was heavy, and the bearskin hat added a weight I hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just about looking the part. It was about feeling the part. Every step, every salute, had to exude confidence and pride. If even one person was out of sync, it ruined the entire formation. The mental discipline required was just as grueling. Standing motionless for hours on end might seem simple, but it's one of the hardest things to master. Your mind races, your muscles cramp, and the temptation to fidget can feel overwhelming. But we were taught to focus, to push past the discomfort, and to maintain the stoic composure that defines a royal guard. It's not just about physical stillness, it's about mental control. One of the most memorable moments of my training was the first time we rehearsed for the changing of the guard ceremony. It was a dress rehearsal, but the pressure felt real. The weight of history was palpable as we marched in unison, our movements sharp and precise. Every detail, from the angle of our arms to the timing of our steps, was scrutinized. It was in that moment that I truly understood what it meant to be part of this legacy. Training wasn't just about preparing us for the role. It was about transforming us. By the time we completed it, we weren't just individuals anymore. We were part of something greater, a brotherhood bonded by shared challenges and a deep sense of pride. The journey to becoming a royal guard isn't easy, but every step of it is worth it. When you finally put on that uniform and stand at your post, you realize that all the sweat, the pain, and the perseverance were in service of something far greater than yourself. It's a role that demands everything you have, but it gives back a sense of purpose and honor that few other paths can offer. Every day as a royal guard begins long before the first light touches the horizon. For most people, the idea of guarding a royal palace is tied to images of grandeur and ceremony, but for us, it starts with discipline and preparation. My day begins at dawn, the alarm jolting me awake in the barracks. The room is filled with the faint hum of routine, fellow guards getting ready, the sound of boots being laced, and the sharp clink of brass buttons being fastened. This is where our commitment begins. The first task is the uniform, and let me tell you, it's more than just putting on clothes. Every part of it has to be flawless. The scarlet tunic must be ironed to perfection, with every fold crisp and sharp. The buttons, polished to a mirror finish, reflect the pride we carry in our role. The trousers, with their bold red stripe, must hang just right. And then there's the bearskin hat, a towering symbol of tradition. It's heavier than most imagine, and balancing it perfectly on your head without letting it slip is a skill in itself. The process of getting dressed feels like a ritual, one that connects us to the countless guards who came before us. As I stand in front of the mirror, adjusting every detail, I remind myself that this isn't just about appearances. This uniform is a symbol of honor, and wearing it is a privilege I don't take lightly. Once we're dressed, we gather for morning inspections. Our officers check every detail, from the shine on our boots to the alignment of our belts. It's meticulous, almost obsessive, but it's this attention to detail that defines the royal guard. When you stand before a palace or march in a ceremony, you represent more than yourself. You represent the monarchy, the history of a nation, and the values it upholds. After inspections, the day's assignments are distributed. Some of us are posted at the palace gates, while others prepare for ceremonial duties. I remember my first time being assigned to stand guard at the main entrance of the palace. The nerves were overwhelming. I knew every movement, every stance, would be scrutinized not just by my superiors, but by the eyes of thousands of tourists and passers-by. Standing post is an experience like no other. On the surface, it might seem simple, just stand still and keep watch. But in reality, it's a test of both physical endurance and mental focus. The world around you becomes a blur of activity. Tourists snapping photos, children waving, people whispering and pointing. Some try to make you laugh, while others ask the same questions over and over. Are they even real? Why don't they move? Do they ever talk? It's easy to lose focus if you let your mind wander. The trick is to stay grounded, to remind yourself why you're there. Every guard has their own techniques for staying sharp. Some count their breaths, others focus on a single point in the distance, and a few recite their training silently in their heads. For me, it's about staying connected to the moment, reminding myself of the weight of the uniform and the responsibility it carries. The hours pass slowly when you're standing still, and the physical strain starts to creep in. Your legs ache, your back stiffens, and the weight of the bearskin hat feels heavier with every passing minute. But no matter how uncomfortable it gets, you hold your position. Breaking form isn't an option. It's not just about discipline. It's about respect for the role and the history it represents. When the shift ends, there's a sense of relief as we return to the barracks. But the day isn't over yet. The first task is to inspect and maintain the uniform. Every button is polished again. Every scuff on the boots is buffed out, and the tunic is carefully hung to avoid creases. It's a tedious process, but it's one we take pride in. The uniform is as much a part of the role as we are, and it deserves the same level of care and attention. Off-duty hours in the barracks are a stark contrast to the formalities of standing post. This is where camaraderie thrives. We share stories from the day, laugh about the antics of tourists, and offer advice to newer recruits. These moments of connection are what keep us grounded. Being a Royal Guard can feel isolating at times, but within the barracks, we're a team. We support each other, not just as colleagues, but as brothers and sisters in service. There's a special bond that forms among guards. We share a unique experience, one that few outside our ranks can truly understand. Whether it's helping each other adjust a uniform before inspection or encouraging a fellow guard who's struggling during a long shift, these small acts of support build a sense of unity. As the day winds down, there's a moment of reflection. Standing post, marching in ceremonies, maintaining the uniform. It all serves a greater purpose. It's not just about the monarchy or the tradition. It's about representing something enduring, something that connects the past to the present. As I lie in my bunk, exhausted but fulfilled, I remind myself that tomorrow will bring the same challenges, the same responsibilities, and the same sense of pride. And for that, I'm grateful. When asked about the uniform of a Royal Guard, it isn't just clothing. It's a legacy woven into every stitch, a visible link to centuries of history, and a representation of the values we uphold every time we stand at our post. Wearing it is both an honor and a responsibility, and every piece tells its own story. Let's begin with the most striking element, the scarlet tunic. Its vibrant red isn't just chosen for visual impact. It's a color deeply rooted in British military tradition. The origins of the scarlet uniform can be traced back to the 17th century, when red dye was both durable and relatively cost-effective for large-scale use. However, it quickly came to symbolize more than practicality. The bold hue was designed to instill pride in soldiers and to make them stand out, even on the battlefield. Today, it represents valor, heritage, and the unwavering spirit of the British military. Every part of the tunic is meticulously tailored, and its construction is as precise as the movements we practice. The golden buttons, arranged in specific groupings, aren't just decorative. They indicate the regiment to which the guard belongs. Each regiment of the Household Division has its own unique button spacing, a small but meaningful detail that ties the uniform to the guard's identity. For example, the Coldstream Guards feature buttons spaced in pairs, while the Grenadier Guards have theirs equally spaced. It's subtle, but for those who know, it's a defining mark. Beneath the tunic is a crisp white shirt and black tie, adding to the uniform's formal elegance. The trousers, deep navy blue with a scarlet stripe running down the side, reflect the same attention to detail. That stripe, often referred to as the blood stripe, is said to honor fallen comrades, though its exact origins are debated. Regardless, it serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who wore the uniform before us. But no part of the uniform is more iconic than the bearskin hat. Towering and unmistakable, it's the first thing people notice when they see a Royal Guard. Its history dates back to 1815, following the British victory at the Battle of Waterloo. The hats were inspired by those worn by Napoleon's elite grenadiers, whose imposing stature was enhanced by their headgear. The British adopted the style as a symbol of triumph, and it has remained a defining feature of the Royal Guard ever since. The bearskin hat is made from the fur of Canadian black bears, and while it may appear ceremonial, its size and material originally served a practical purpose. On the battlefield, the towering height of the hat was meant to make soldiers look larger and more intimidating to their enemies. Today, it weighs about 1.5 pounds and stands 18 inches tall, and while it's no longer used for warfare, it still conveys authority and tradition. Wearing the bearskin hat is no easy task. It's surprisingly heavy, and balancing it perfectly requires practice. The inner lining is designed to keep it securely in place, but even so, it demands a steady posture. The first time I wore one, I was struck by how it changes your perspective. You feel taller, more present, and deeply connected to the history it represents. Maintaining the uniform is a ritual in itself. Every day, after our duties are complete, we inspect and care for every piece of the ensemble. The tunic is carefully brushed to remove any dust or lint, while the buttons are polished until they gleam. Even the trousers are checked for creases, which must be pressed out before the next wear. The bearskin hat, meanwhile, is gently cleaned to preserve its texture and shape. This attention to detail isn't just about appearances, it's about respect for the role and what the uniform stands for. The boots are another vital part of the uniform, and they require just as much care. Made of highly polished black leather, they must be spotless before every appearance. Guards often spend hours buffing and shining their boots, using techniques passed down through generations. It's a painstaking process, but the result is a mirror-like finish that reflects the pride we take in our duties. Each piece of the uniform works together to create an image that is as timeless as it is impressive. When I stand in full dress, I'm acutely aware that I'm not just wearing clothes, I'm wearing history. The uniform is a statement of continuity, connecting me to every guard who has stood watch before me. It's a reminder of the values we protect: honor, discipline, and tradition. But more than anything, the uniform is a symbol of trust. When people see us standing at our posts, they see more than guards. They see a reflection of the monarchy and the nation itself. That's why every detail matters, from the shine of the buttons to the tilt of the bearskin hat. It's not just about looking sharp. It's about representing something larger than ourselves. Wearing this uniform is a privilege that I never take for granted. Every time I put it on, I feel a sense of pride that is difficult to put into words. It's not just a job. It's a role that carries the weight of history, the respect of the public, and the responsibility of preserving a legacy. As I stand at my post, dressed in the scarlet tunic and bearskin hat, I'm reminded of the countless individuals who have worn this uniform before me, each one contributing to the story of the Royal Guard. It's an honor to be a part of that story, and it's a responsibility I carry with pride every day. The life of a Royal Guard is defined by a unique combination of ceremonial splendor and unyielding discipline. Every duty we perform is steeped in tradition, yet the challenges we face are very real, requiring both physical endurance and mental resilience. Whether it's a grand state event or a silent vigil at a palace gate, every moment demands unwavering focus. Our ceremonial duties are perhaps the most visible and iconic part of what we do. The changing of the guard is the first thing that comes to mind for many when they think of the Royal Guard. This centuries-old tradition, held outside Buckingham Palace and other royal residences, is far more than a spectacle for tourists. It is a precise and deeply symbolic ritual that marks the seamless transfer of responsibility from one set of guards to another. Every step, every turn, and every command is choreographed to perfection, ensuring the ceremony reflects the dignity of the monarchy. The first time I participated in the changing of the guard, I felt a mix of pride and nerves. The courtyard was packed with people, cameras clicking and voices murmuring as they awaited the start. Dressed in my scarlet tunic and bearskin hat, I marched in unison with my fellow guards, the rhythmic sound of boots hitting the ground echoing around us. The officer barked commands, and we executed each move with precision. Even the smallest mistake could disrupt the entire sequence, so focus was paramount. By the time the ceremony ended, my muscles ached from the rigid movements, but the pride I felt outweighed any discomfort. Beyond the changing of the guard, we are also responsible for parades and state functions. Trooping the color, for example, is an annual event to celebrate the monarch's official birthday. It's a dazzling display of pageantry, with hundreds of guards, cavalry, and military bands coming together in perfect synchronization. Marching in such a grand event is unlike anything else. The sheer scale of it, combined with the knowledge that millions are watching, creates a sense of importance that's hard to describe. Every movement is scrutinized, not just by the crowd but by history itself. State functions add another layer of responsibility. Whether it's a royal wedding, a state banquet, or the opening of Parliament, the Royal Guard plays a vital role in maintaining the decorum and security of the event. These occasions are moments when tradition takes center stage, and our presence ensures that everything runs smoothly. While our ceremonial duties are what people see, there's another side to being a Royal Guard that often goes unnoticed: our security responsibilities. Though we may appear stoic and unarmed during ceremonies, we are highly trained soldiers prepared to respond to emergencies. The palace grounds we guard are not just symbols of national pride. They are active residences and working institutions. Our job is to ensure their safety. Every guard is trained in threat detection and emergency protocols. We learn to observe subtle changes in our surroundings, whether it's someone acting suspiciously in a crowd or an unexpected sound during a quiet night shift. Our training ensures that we can respond swiftly and effectively to any situation, whether it's a potential security breach or a medical emergency. One memorable moment during my duty at the palace involved a tourist fainting near the gates. Though we are trained to remain stoic and composed, there are moments when duty requires action. I alerted the appropriate personnel and ensured the individual received immediate assistance. Incidents like this remind me that our role is not just about standing still. It's about being vigilant, prepared, and ready to act when needed. Of course, the job comes with its share of challenges, both physical and mental. Standing in extreme weather is one of the most demanding aspects of the role. Whether it's the blistering heat of summer or the biting cold of winter, we must remain at our post, unflinching and focused. I recall one particularly harsh winter shift at Windsor Castle. The wind cut through the courtyard like a knife, and my hands felt numb despite the gloves. Every minute felt like an hour, but I knew that moving or breaking form was not an option. The discipline to endure these conditions is part of what defines a Royal Guard. Fatigue is another challenge. Standing still for hours on end might sound simple, but it's anything but. The strain on your legs, the stiffness in your back, and the constant effort to maintain perfect posture take a toll. The bearskin hat, though iconic, adds weight that you feel acutely by the end of a shift. Over time, you learn small techniques to alleviate the discomfort without breaking form. Shifting your weight subtly from one foot to the other, or taking controlled breaths to stay calm and focused. Public distractions are another test of our discipline. Tourists often see us as part of the attraction, and many try to interact with us in ways that can be challenging to ignore. Children wave enthusiastically, some people shout to get our attention, and a few even attempt to provoke a reaction. One incident that sticks in my mind involved a group of teenagers making exaggerated faces in front of me, trying to make me laugh. It took every ounce of focus to remain stoic, but that's what the role demands. Our composure reflects not just our discipline, but also the respect we hold for the uniform and the traditions it represents. Despite these challenges, the rewards of the role far outweigh the difficulties. Every duty, no matter how demanding, is an opportunity to serve and uphold a legacy that stretches back centuries. The pride of knowing that I play a part in preserving this heritage is what keeps me going, even on the hardest days. Being a Royal Guard is not just a job, it's a calling, one that requires dedication, resilience, and a deep respect for tradition. As we stand at our posts, we carry the weight of history, the trust of a nation, and the honor of serving as custodians of one of the most enduring symbols of the monarchy. Being a Royal Guard means stepping into a role that carries centuries of tradition and commands respect, but it also means being part of one of the most visible and misunderstood jobs in the world. People from across the globe flock to royal residences, not just to see the palaces, but to catch a glimpse of the immaculately dressed guards who stand stoic and seemingly unflinching at their posts. For many, we are living statues, symbols of precision and discipline. But behind the uniform, there's more to the story. Funny moments, heartfelt interactions, and plenty of myths that I'm here to set straight. Let's start with one of the most common questions I've heard. Do you ever smile? The short answer? Yes, we do, just not while we're on duty. Our training teaches us to maintain absolute composure, no matter what distractions arise. This isn't just about looking serious. It's about embodying the professionalism and respect our role demands. That said, we're human, and there are moments when staying stone-faced becomes a real challenge. I'll never forget a particular summer day outside Buckingham Palace when a child, no older than 5, stood in front of me and saluted. He was wearing a little toy soldier's uniform and had a look of pure determination on his face, mimicking my posture as best he could. His parents, beaming with pride, snapped pictures while he held his salute for what felt like an eternity. I couldn't react, of course, but inside, I was smiling. Moments like that remind me of the joy and inspiration this role brings to others. Then there are the tourists who try to test us. It's a universal truth that people love to push boundaries, and the Royal Guards are no exception to this rule. One day, a group of visitors decided to see if they could make me laugh. They danced, pulled faces, and even attempted to impersonate my stance. It was like watching a slapstick comedy unfold right in front of me, but I kept my composure. Maintaining focus isn't just about discipline. It's about respect for the uniform and the role I represent. However, not all interactions are lighthearted. Some moments are deeply touching, like the time an elderly couple approached the gates during one of my shifts. They stood silently, hand in hand, their eyes reflecting a mix of nostalgia and admiration. Later, I learned from a colleague that the man had served as a Royal Guard decades earlier. Seeing us in our ceremonial duties brought back memories of his own service. It's humbling to realize how much this role means to people, whether they're visitors or former guards themselves. Of course, public curiosity about the Royal Guard extends far beyond our interactions. People love to speculate about our lives, and over time, certain myths have taken root. One of the most persistent is the idea that we're completely unresponsive, like robots. The truth is, we are highly trained soldiers with a dual responsibility: ceremonial precision and security. If a situation arises that requires action, be it an emergency or a threat, we are fully prepared to respond. Our stoic appearance isn't an act of indifference. It's a testament to our training and focus. Another common myth is that we're not allowed to speak under any circumstances. While it's true that we don't engage in casual conversation while on duty, we are allowed to issue warnings if someone breaches the boundaries of respect or safety. For instance, if a tourist gets too close or behaves inappropriately, we'll give a clear verbal command, such as "step back from the guard." It's rare, but it happens, and it always surprises people when we speak. Then there's the misconception that our duties are purely ceremonial. While the changing of the guard and other public events are what most people see, our role extends far beyond that. We're also responsible for the security of royal residences, which means staying vigilant at all times. Tourists might see us as part of the pageantry, but for us, it's about maintaining a balance between tradition and real-world responsibilities. Handling public curiosity while maintaining professionalism is one of the most nuanced parts of being a Royal Guard. It's not always easy to stand stoic when people are waving, shouting, or trying to provoke a reaction, but it's part of the job. Our training prepares us to tune out distractions, focusing instead on the bigger picture, representing the monarchy and the nation with dignity. One of my most memorable interactions involved a group of school children visiting from abroad. They were fascinated by the guards and had so many questions, which they eagerly fired off to a nearby officer. Do they ever move? What happens if they sneeze? How do they stay so still? The officer, amused by their enthusiasm, explained our duties in a way they could understand. Watching their awe and curiosity reminded me of why so many people are drawn to the Royal Guard. It's not just the uniform or the ceremony. It's the mystique of a role that feels larger than life. But perhaps the most rewarding moments come when we realize the impact we have on others. For many visitors, seeing the Royal Guard is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Whether it's a child saluting in admiration, a tourist marveling at our precision, or an elderly veteran reminiscing about their own service, every interaction leaves an impression. And for us, those moments make the challenges worthwhile. When most people see a royal guard standing tall and proud outside a grand palace, they rarely stop to think about the person behind the uniform, their livelihood, career aspirations, and the financial reality of the role. Being a royal guard is not just a job, it's a commitment, a lifestyle, and for many, a stepping stone to a broader career in the military. While the ceremonial duties are the most visible part of the role, the financial and career aspects are just as significant in shaping the lives of those who serve. Let's start with the financial aspect. On paper, the salary of a royal guard might not sound extravagant. For an entry-level guardsman, the annual salary typically starts at around £20,000 to £25,000, depending on rank and experience. While this might seem modest, it's important to consider the additional perks and benefits that come with the role. Guards stationed at royal residences often receive subsidized or even free housing in military barracks, which significantly reduces living expenses. Meals are also provided during duty, and the cost of maintaining the iconic uniform, an expense that might otherwise be overwhelming, is covered as part of the job. Beyond the base salary, there are opportunities for bonuses and additional earnings. Guards who participate in high-profile events, such as state visits, royal weddings, or trooping the color, often receive extra pay. These events are not just prestigious but also demanding, requiring hours of preparation and execution, which is reflected in the compensation. For those who go above and beyond in their duties or take on additional responsibilities, there's always the possibility of recognition and financial rewards. But the financial benefits of being a royal guard extend far beyond the immediate paycheck. The role offers a clear and structured path for career growth, both within the regiment and in the broader military. Many guardsmen start as privates, learning the ropes and mastering the skills needed for ceremonial and security duties. With dedication and time, it's possible to rise through the ranks, becoming a corporal, sergeant, or even reaching senior non-commissioned officer positions. Promotion is not just about time served, it's about proving yourself. Leadership qualities, attention to detail, and the ability to mentor and guide newer recruits are all factors that play a role in climbing the ranks. For instance, becoming a drill sergeant or a company sergeant major involves taking on significant responsibilities, from training recruits to ensuring that ceremonial duties are carried out flawlessly. These roles come with increased pay and a higher level of respect within the regiment. For those who aspire to go further, there's also the possibility of transitioning into officer roles. This often requires additional training and education, but the rewards are significant. Officers in the household division not only oversee the operations of their regiments, but also play a key role in planning and executing state functions. These positions are highly competitive, but for those with the ambition and determination, they represent the pinnacle of a career in the Royal Guard. Another path for career growth is the opportunity to specialize in certain areas. Some guardsmen choose to focus on ceremonial duties, becoming experts in the intricacies of parades, state events, and royal ceremonies. Others opt for a more operational route, joining specialist units within the British Army or transferring to roles that involve international deployments. The skills learned as a Royal Guard, discipline, attention to detail, and the ability to perform under pressure are highly valued across the military. Life after serving as a Royal Guard is another important consideration. For many, the role is not a lifelong career but a chapter in their broader journey. Guardsmen who leave the service often do so with a wealth of transferable skills, from leadership and teamwork to crisis management and public relations. These qualities open doors to a wide range of careers, both within and outside the military. Some former guardsmen go on to serve in other branches of the armed forces, while others transition into civilian roles in security, law enforcement, or even corporate leadership. Pensions and retirement benefits also play a crucial role in the financial stability of those who serve. Guardsmen who complete the required years of service are entitled to a military pension, which provides financial security in later life. For those who choose to retire early, the experience and prestige of having served as a Royal Guard can be a valuable asset in finding new opportunities. But perhaps the greatest reward of being a Royal Guard is not financial. It's the sense of pride and accomplishment that comes with the role. Standing at your post, representing centuries of tradition, and knowing that you're part of something larger than yourself is a feeling that money can't buy. And while the financial benefits and career opportunities are important, It's this sense of purpose and fulfillment that truly defines the experience. As I look back on my own journey, I see how the role has shaped not just my career but also my character. It has taught me discipline, resilience, and the importance of detail, qualities that will stay with me long after I hang up the uniform. Whether it's climbing the ranks, transitioning to a new role, or retiring with the knowledge that I've served with honor, the path of a Royal Guard offers endless possibilities for growth, both personally and professionally. In the end, being a Royal Guard is about more than a paycheck or a promotion. It's about carrying forward a legacy, serving with pride, and building a future shaped by the values we uphold every day. And for those who take on this role, the rewards, both tangible and intangible, are truly unparalleled. As I stand here, bearing the weight of my bearskin hat and the responsibility of centuries of tradition, I often find myself reflecting on my journey. Being a Royal Guard is so much more than standing still or marching in step. It is an experience that has shaped me in ways I never anticipated. The role has been a source of immense pride, yet it has also brought challenges that tested my strength, both physical and emotional. But more than anything, it has been a journey of growth, of learning who I am and what I'm capable of. When I first joined, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. I knew the role carried immense prestige, but I also knew it wouldn't be easy. The long hours of training, the rigorous expectations, and the constant pressure to perform at the highest level were daunting. I remember my first day vividly. Standing in formation during inspection, I could feel the eyes of my superiors on me, scanning for even the slightest imperfection in my uniform or posture. It was nerve-wracking, but it was also the moment I realized how much attention to detail and discipline this role demands. One of the greatest sources of pride for me has been the ability to contribute to a legacy that spans centuries. Every time I stand at my post, I'm reminded that I'm part of something much larger than myself. This isn't just a job. It's a role that represents the history, culture, and traditions of an entire nation. When I see the awe in the eyes of tourists or hear the stories of former guards who served decades before me, I'm struck by the continuity of it all. We are all threads in the same tapestry, each playing our part in preserving a legacy that stretches back to the days of kings and queens long past. Of course, the journey hasn't been without its challenges. One of the most difficult aspects of being a Royal Guard is the mental discipline required to remain stoic in all situations. There have been moments when the weather was unforgiving, when rain poured down relentlessly or the sun beat down with unbearable intensity, and yet I stood firm. There were times when fatigue set in after hours of standing still, and every muscle in my body screamed for relief. But through it all, I learned the value of perseverance. I learned that strength isn't just about physical endurance. It's about the ability to stay focused and composed, even when everything around you is testing your limits. One of the most memorable experiences of my time as a Royal Guard was during Trooping the Color, a grand ceremony celebrating the monarch's birthday. Marching in unison with hundreds of other guards, the sound of the band echoing through the streets, and the cheers of the crowd created a sense of unity and pride that is hard to describe. As I moved through the carefully rehearsed formations, I felt the weight of the moment, not just the eyes of the public on us, but the history and significance of the event. It was a reminder that our role isn't just ceremonial. It's a symbol of the nation's enduring spirit. Another moment that stands out to me was a quiet interaction with a young boy who approached me during one of my shifts at the palace gates. He couldn't have been more than 7 or 8, and he was dressed in a little soldier's outfit, complete with a toy bearskin hat. His parents explained that he dreamed of becoming a Royal Guard one day and had begged them to bring him to see us. I couldn't speak to him, of course, but I held his gaze for a moment, and I saw the wonder in his eyes. It was a simple moment, but it reminded me of why this role matters. It's not just about tradition or duty. It's about inspiring others and representing something greater than ourselves. The lessons I've learned as a Royal Guard extend far beyond the role itself. I've learned the importance of teamwork, of relying on my fellow guards to maintain the precision and discipline that defines our duties. I've learned the value of patience, of staying calm and composed even in the face of distractions or challenges. And I've learned the meaning of pride, not arrogance, but the quiet pride that comes from knowing you've given your all to something meaningful. This role has also taught me humility. Despite the grandeur of the ceremonies and the attention we receive, being a royal guard is ultimately about service. It's about serving the monarchy, the nation, and the people who come to witness the traditions we uphold. It's not about being seen. It's about what we represent. And that realization has been one of the most profound lessons of all. As I think about my time as a royal guard, I'm filled with gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunity to be part of such an iconic institution, for the lessons it has taught me, and for the memories I will carry with me for the rest of my life. It hasn't always been easy, but it has always been worth it. This role has challenged me, shaped me, and given me a sense of purpose that I will never forget. And while I know that one day my time as a royal guard will come to an end, the experiences and lessons I've gained will stay with me forever. They have become a part of who I am, and they will guide me in whatever comes next. Because being a royal guard isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. And for that, I am forever proud. This isn't just a story about me. It's a story about all of us who have had the honor to serve. It's a story about pride, perseverance, and the enduring power of tradition. And it's a story I'll carry with me, always.